Hi everybody, and welcome to Jeff's Unknown. Oh yeah. Today we have like what we call something a big doozy for you. Oh yeah. I've been promising for a while. I've been mentioning his name, Jared Neal. I have him on with us in a few minutes. And it is a great honor to have him as my first guest on my channel. I've always said to myself, things happen for a reason. There are things that happen around us, and we are attracted to those things that represent us or are meant to be. And of course, like we all have our different beliefs. We have our beliefs, we have, we our doubts, and this is where the unknown comes in. It fits in between. Now, of course, I said to myself, I would like to create a page that we can talk on all types of aspects. I would really like to talk about every type of element that we can talk and discover and rediscover in the unknown. Jared Neal comes from a very colorful background. I'm going to let him explain who he is, where he's from, and what exactly his what we could say his path that God gave him. Now, regardless if if you believe or not, it's not important. What it's important is the message. Now, we know that evil exists. Evil exists everywhere. It comes to us in temptation. It comes to us in thought. It also comes. And what happens if that evil becomes more dominant and it becomes like a force that takes over you, a possession? What happens if that evil really is so powerful that the person, the victim, is unable to get it away, to expel it from? Well, there are God's sacred soldiers that I call. They're soldiers. There's nothing but soldiers that come and rescue these people, that face these negative forces, these demonic creatures that tend to possess those who are all types of walk of life. And we've read about these possessions. So demonic possessions that's not a new thing. It's been a long time. Even in the Bible, we talk about the devil trying to possess and control. And this is where Jared found his way into this path that God gave him. And we call him Heaven's Messenger, but he's also the demon slayer as well. These are all names that have been given to him, but I think the best is I call him a friend. I call him someone who I value extremely well. Now, obviously, your opinion on it doesn't matter. The fact is that we can all recognize that there are evil forces out there. So I would like to introduce you to Jared Neal, because I think his path and what God has given him, the ability to help others, to educate others, and to also know a little bit about his path. Because everybody does have, tribulations. Everybody has those moments where we've been tempted, that we have found our way. And also, those are people who are still right now that are suffering. So with great enthusiasm and honor and pleasure, Mr. Jared Neal. Hey, brother, how you doing?
Hey, my brother from another mother. I'm doing good. Thank you so much. I don't know if it is deserved to have such a nice introduction. I obviously take it with open arms, with open heart. As you know, I don't see myself as any more special than anyone else. We all have a path. As we say in French, cheminement. We all have our duty, our goal, our purpose for being here. And I think what you said is exactly right. And I think I wanted to say that I think more and more people our understanding that there are evil forces at work. And you're right, it goes back to the beginning of time. And for those people that are listening, I assume most of them, whether they are practicing or not, were brought up Christian,
Mm.
at least in Canada.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Although we won't get into, of course, that may be changing with hordes of visitors that are coming in. But even Jesus was known to having been an exorcist.
Mm.
He performed an exorcism on Mary Magdalene herself,
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
and that's how she actually met him and became one of his deepest followers. And dare I say, even though it goes against the church teachings, which have been bastardized and changed and whatnot a million times, going against her teachings, she actually became one of his apostles. You could actually see her clearly at the Last Supper.
For
Uh,
sure.
Everyone's like, "My God, that looks like there's a woman at the table." Well, yes,
Yeah.
there
There was. Yeah. Yeah.
back in those days, you didn't have the mental illness that I call it. To teach their own, but I call it a mental illness. There were no cross dressers and people transgender back in Jesus's time. So I can assure you, it was definitely a woman that was that was at the Last Supper, which was a Passover supper. And strangely enough, my two older sons just got back from Israel. They were there for 10 days. I was so happy I was able to get them on a trip to go to Israel. And one of the places that they visited, even though it was a trip for Jewish people to discover Israel, whatnot, they were brought in Jerusalem to the room of the Last Supper.
Oh, wow.
Yes, yes, and they said it was extremely, extremely touching and extremely interesting. I mean, it doesn't take a genius to figure out Jesus was a Jew. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah. But for people who don't know, you are Jewish too, as well.
yeah, correct, yes.
Yeah.
So,
But you do bring in also the Christian, let's say the Christian aspect too as well. I mean it's nice to see that you discover every aspect of Christian, what they call Christo Judeo
Judaism, of
beliefs,
course,
yeah.
Judeo-Christianity, yes.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the fact of the matter is, not to get into the whole theological conversation, Jesus was a rabbi.
Yeah.
He was a known master Kabbalist. As you know, I study Kabbalah intensely. He was at a level I mean, I could never even hope to get to 1% of the level that he was at. And those times it was different as well. Obviously, in the times of the temple and whatnot, even as corrupt as it was, his mother Mary was Jewish. His father Joseph was Jewish. The apostles were Jewish. A good percentage, actually, almost everyone who followed him, which you would call the disciples, were Jewish. Christianity became if you want to say, an offshoot
Yeah.
of Judaism, as others wrote what they believed that he said. Put aside that none of them understood a freaking word he said, because Kabbalah is all metaphor, which is why when Jesus told his apostles, all of them, including I believe it was Peter, when he told him walk on the water, it was Peter or one of the other ones, but I believe it
Yeah.
might have been Peter. We said walk on the water, and Peter fell in, and he said, "Oh, ye of so little faith." What does that mean? It didn't mean they didn't have faith in God. Kabbalah is the deeper, it means to receive in Hebrew. It's the deeper understanding of the written word. The written word is very basic. There's so much deeper understanding. So
Yeah.
when Jesus spoke to his apostles and said, none of you have enough faith, it didn't mean that they didn't have faith in him. It didn't mean they didn't have faith in the Father and God. It
Mhm.
meant that they couldn't understand what he was saying, because he was at a much deeper level, speaking in metaphor and parable, than they were. But not to get into the whole philosophical conversation. My point is going back way before Jesus, the concept of demons,
Yeah.
evil spirits, we call them a different name, shedim, dibukim. There's so many different races of both angelic and demonic forces. Other races that are neither, that are here among us in the center of the earth. That's a whole other conversation. But there are many, many, many evil forces at work, and
Yeah.
there's one thing that many of them have in common, aside from not being the nicest of entities or races, is that they see us as cattle. They don't give a shit about
Mhm.
humanity, and that
Yeah.
includes, by the way, many angelic. There are different races of angels, And even those working for God, that's why I warn people about meditation. When we do a Kabbalistic meditation, it has to be done a specific way,
Yeah.
an ascent, so to speak, through the spiritual realms. Not that our body's going, but our soul is going up in a meditation. If it's not done properly, we will piss off even nice angels.
Oh,
They
really?
see us as, yes, who the concept is, who the heck are you to be rising up into this realm when your intention is perhaps not pure,
Okay.
when you haven't prepared yourself properly, when you don't believe in the creator, the one who created us. And I warn people, especially those that are kind of into spirituality but don't believe in God per se, you're entering a realm created by God the creator, and you are not wanted there. They see you as an imposter, as someone who is coming into their realm and saying, you don't believe in he, the one, it that created us, and you dare try to gain entry into this realm. And that's where a lot of people, even the Kabbalah warns about, there's a lot of people who go into these meditative practices and they come out with mental illness. They come out with their mind all messed up. And sometimes that comes even from good angels as a way to say, you should not have been here. No, you're not welcome here.
Yeah. Okay.
Go
Yeah.
ahead.
No, but could that have also be a fact that how you could also attract evil entities too as well?
Not only could it be, it is 1,000%. These are teachings to go back to the Old Testament,
Okay.
what we call the Torah. There are New Testament teachings about that. Prophecies speak about it. Many hundreds of Kabbalistic works and writings discuss that. Whether it's you, whether it's me, whether it's anyone else, there are both good and evil forces at work 24 hours a day consistently. And I always tell people, as you know, Hollywood very often is telling us in advance what's happening, what's going on. And you remember the old cartoons where you kind of have a demon on one shoulder and an angel on the
Yeah.
other.
Yeah.
Well, it's actually accurate. They're not standing on your shoulder, but they're whispering to us at all times. The humans that we see, there could be a million times more entities that we don't see that are all around us
Yeah.
and speaking to us. Same thing when we dream. Both sides are talking to us. That's why dream interpretation is very difficult, because it's always mixed, unless someone is what we call in Hebrew a tzaddik, a holy, truly holy and righteous person. And I don't claim to be anywhere even near that level, by the way, because I am not. So you're talking people that make me look like, so unless someone is at that level, there is no such thing as someone having a dream that is just truth. It will always be mixed with falsehoods, with lies to set someone off of their course. That's just the reality of the situation. So when we are dreaming, which is why I speak about people being careful in a dream, not to believe everything they see. I warn people about meditation, not because relaxing is great. Someone who wants to meditate to just kind of clear their mind and just relax and ground themselves. Nothing wrong with that. The minute you go very deep and you kind of open a porthole, so to speak, you open a door to the spirit realm, you're welcoming both sides. There's no such thing as both good and bad. And that includes even for someone like me. Where a difference lies, and people are like, okay, well, Jared, well, how are you able to do these things in peace? For whatever reason, I understand some of it. I don't understand a lot of it. Why
Yeah.
God felt that I should be one of those that He chooses in this specific battle to fight evil, as He chooses others to fight it in their own way, shape, and form. Because I have an ability to fight evil entities, when they see me coming, they generally go the other way. Now, you yourself, not only have you witnessed videos where you can clearly see demons want nothing to do with me,
Yeah.
but you yourself have been to one of my exorcisms.
Yes. Yes.
Where you yourself witnessed
Yeah.
the look
Oh, yeah.
on her on her face, which was not her, it was the demon. The minute she came into my office and she started shaking, and the
Oh,
thing
yeah.
didn't. Okay, so you yourself have witnessed that. So since most of humanity have not been given, I call it a gift because none of us can do anything without God. It's not an innate ability. It's a gift that God bestows upon us to help Him create this world and make this world a better place. Since most people are not able to fight demons and evil entities, they're not scared of those people. So the minute those people open a door, Evil entities says, yeah, sure, I'll
Yeah,
come in,
there.
and they will feed off of our energy. They will feed off of the holiness that God has given us, which they themselves don't have. Even angels, by the way, as holy and as special as they are, and they are, they lack a certain something that God has bestowed upon humanity when he sent us down. So even
Mm.
the angels lack some of the things that we as humans have. Imagine how much demonic forces lack. So they try, whether they latch onto us or they get inside someone, they steal that energy.
Yeah,
That's what it's, they're feeding off us. And I compare it the same way that people will breed cows or chickens for food.
yeah.
Okay, we see slaughterhouses everywhere. I'm not a fan of it. It's just unfortunately is what it is. They see us as cattle for the slaughter.
Wow. Wow. And that's why you see a lot of people, they deteriorate as like if there's some type of leech or parasite that's sucking their life force. You
And
could
there
see it.
is.
Yeah, 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 for sure.
And some of them realize it. And so what I started saying is I want to believe that there's a lot of people who are starting to understand that. But what I'm also seeing is that there are many, 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 many people that know it to be true, but choose to ignore it. And I'll just give you an example. I see less people by far than I used to, not necessarily because there's less people to contact me. I have a ton of people who contact me, who want to see me, who need my help. And at the last minute, they bail out. I had a client who was supposed to come earlier today, did not. Last minute, he just let me know yesterday. Um, every week, I have people canceling last minute. Oh, no, something came up. Oh, no, I can't. Oh, no, I'm going to wait, or no, I'm going to postpone it.
Yeah.
So the energy is so heavy. There's a battle that's raging that we don't see
Mm.
behind the scenes. And it says, the expression "as above, so as below" is very true. There are battles going on in the spirit realm that are also going to be happening here, and battles happening here that are happening up
Yeah.
above. It's no up above, but in the spirit realm, all around us. So what's happening is there's more and more confusion. There's a lot of people who think they're waking up, who think they're spiritual. That's a whole other
Yeah.
video, whole other podcast. And a lot of them are unfortunately going down the wrong track, because we know the expression "the road to hell was paved with good intentions," and the evil forces, the devil, we call in Hebrew klipot, Yetzirah, the other side,
Yeah.
so to speak, from good. They're not stupid people. There are stupid demons and stupid spirits, but in general, people tend to think as demons as moronic and with no sense. Believe me, they know exactly what the heck that they're doing.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Um, right?
Yeah,
And there's
for
a lot
sure.
of people that are getting mental illness. There's a lot of people and people say, and I'm one of the first people to say that most people with mental illness are not actually sick; they're possessed. I've actually helped people get out of mental institutions who were in for years, because once the demon was gone, the doctors were like, what happened? What changed? So over the last week, there's no need to keep you here anymore. And of course, they can't say, "Yeah, I went to see an exorcist," okay, because then the doctor would be like, "Oh yeah, we got to put you right back on the medication. You're obviously still
Yeah.
crazy, right?" So, however, demonic possession can also cause mental illness. You have something constantly speaking in your mind. You have something constantly forcing you to do things that you don't want to do. That's constantly putting thoughts in your mind that are not coming from you.
Mm.
Eventually, you lose your mind. I mean, this is just how it works, right?
Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, it makes sense. I mean, you see a lot of people, and I come in contact with a lot of people, and I see them, and you could see the confliction, the duality in which they're facing right now. You could see that inside, they're on the outside it manifests, because obviously we can see sometimes, like that woman that we went to Exorcist, we could see it in her face, we could see physically, but you could see also the torment in the interior, because
Yes.
the person gives that vibe. You can feel it. You're like, oh wow, there's something there's not something wrong there, So yeah, I totally believe you.
And you're right, because I remember when you were there, I remember right away you looked at me and you said the hairs on your arms were
Yeah,
right. So even anyone who's open just a little bit spiritually, who's open to knowing there's bigger things, doesn't have to be someone who's necessarily religious. Doesn't even have to be someone who necessarily believes in God, although I hope at some point that they will believe in the Creator. Okay. someone who's in touch a little bit with the spirit as opposed to just the physical can instinctively understand when they look at someone like that, something's off. As I tell people, when you walk in a room and there's 50 people, you're invited to a party and you walk in, and there are some people you instinctively feel good being next to and you want to chat to, and there are others and you don't know why. You just don't feel comfortable being around, but you instinctively know I ain't sitting at that table.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the soul telling you there's something very wrong. It doesn't mean there's people there that are possessed, but it means that the energy is certainly very, very off. So your energy, your soul, kind of like trying to put two magnets together, there's resistance.
Yeah, and talk about resistance. Remember that when you're performing it, I was drenched, I was sweating, and I was just standing there. I wasn't doing anything. I was sweating like crazy. So I felt the energy. It was surreal, the event. And I'll tell you one thing, Jared, that was and it opened up my eyes a little bit on the aspect on how physical and how much it could be not dangerous, but the impact it can cause physically to somebody. I mean, you could see that the person that you were performing it to was in agony. You could tell by the way her body was reacting. You could see that the body and the mind and the soul were all fighting at the same time. It was just surreal. It's really hard to explain, but yeah, it's very surreal.
Yeah, and by the way, for anyone watching this, whether you believe or not, and again, as human beings, let's call a spade, very often it's hard for somebody to accept the unknown, to accept something they don't necessarily understand,
Yeah.
unless they see it with their own eyes. And even then, believe me, there's a lot of people who see it with their own eyes that I know openly choose to ignore it, because the minute you understand there's stuff going on here that I don't know, that I wasn't aware of, that scares me, it makes you question everything you've been taught and everything that you know. And if we're being honest, the average person is not able to do that. And it's interesting, one of the paths of repentance, one of the paths of connecting to God, for those who don't feel comfortable with the name of God, connecting with the Creator, just connecting with God's divine consciousness. A lot of people love that term, divine consciousness. It exists. We're all part of it. But
Oh, for sure.
but that divine consciousness comes from something divine. People just like, no, there's just a divine consciousness. Well, it had to come from somewhere, but we won't get into that conversation. Somebody who wants to connect with that will never, never be able to do so until they understand that what they see with their eyes, what they experience using their five physical senses, much of it is not real. It seems real, but there's so much more going on behind the scenes. There's so much more reality. We're at the absolute lowest level in the Kabbalistic chain of events, in the Kabbalistic worlds and universes. We're at the bottom of it right now.
Yeah.
So there's so much more going on all around us and above us. And until someone is able to look in the mirror and say, you know what? Probably everything that I've been taught or everything I thought to be true, a lot of it probably isn't, right? We saw that recently going back to 2020. We don't have to rehash all the details.
Yeah, tell me about
Right?
it. Yeah.
So the point being is, when someone asks me, and I'm the first to say, you know me personally, when someone asks me, what do you know? You study so much Torah and you study Kabbalah and you have all these experiences and you've done thousands of exorcisms and you've helped thousands and thousands of people. What do you know? And I'm borrowing this from those much smarter and greater than me who have said in the past, I know that I don't know much. And I say that not to pat myself on the back. I say it humbly that you know that you've reached a decent level of true enlightenment when two things have happened.
Yeah.
When one, you understand that you know very, very, very little about reality. And two, that you understand that our physical senses represent a very small percentage of what's actually going on,
Yeah.
right? And for anyone who's watching this, who's listening to this, whatever the case may be, maybe they're driving in the car and they can't watch it, but they have it on so they could listen to it. I invite people, they can go to my Facebook, Jared Heavens Messenger. I have that exorcism that you were at with Caro. I have it on my Facebook.
Yes.
There's going to be someone shortly, hopefully within the next week, putting that video up on my YouTube, Jared Heavens Messenger, as well. And
Well,
for
all
any
that will be in the description of this video. So yeah, for sure, people will be able to link it and all that. There,
perfect,
I'll link.
and I'm
Yeah.
sure it might be in the description, but just to show people, I have two books on the market. Okay, the first one, Jared Heavens Messenger, Jared Neal. It's my first book. It's on Amazon International. Still has a 5-star review after 8 years. And my second book, Rise of the Slayer, where I truly became the exorcist that I was meant to be. It's my second book.
Hmm.
Thank God. It also right now still has a 5-star review on Amazon.
Good job. Well, look, Jared. I mean, obviously, this is the first live, but you and I, we've done lives in the French world, like I mean, like a lot. But because this is our first English one, I'd like to take a bit of time to, for those who don't know you, to discover you. Like, what? Tell us a little bit about your story about who is Jared Neal and what was your path and what. First of all, what not inspired you, but what caused you to get into this, like this path of nothing but divine intention by God, right? Because obviously God selected you to go out there and to do as much good as you can, because I read your book obviously, and people should go by the book, the first and the second one, but start with the first one. It explains extremely a lot of the the perspective, but it talks about your path. But shortly, who is Jared Neal? That's a really good question.
It's an excellent question. Not an easy one to answer in the sense that every day we're still discovering ourselves
Yeah, that's true.
as to who we truly are, and obviously the physical doesn't represent us; our soul does. But I went through many paths. As a kid, I understood that. I mean, everyone says that they're different, and each one of us, although we are all connected, we're all unique. We all
Yeah.
have certain aspects to ourselves that are what make us us. But I understood when I say that I was different, that I could see things that other people couldn't necessarily see. And if they did, they certainly didn't talk about it. I could feel things that other people couldn't feel. And as a teenager, it became fun as a joke. People would give me free cigarettes or free back in the day, a free joint, or a couple of beers. They'll tell me I have a new girlfriend. What do you think about her? Feel her energy? No, not for you. She's really, oh yeah, I like her energy. Great. Or what do you think's going to happen? And I would tell them, and very often it would happen. But it was more of a fun thing,
Mm.
right? It never went into detail. Something happened at a party when I was 18. We were a gang of call it a gang, and we had our clique where we used to do things. We were a group of people from all different kind of backgrounds. I was at a party. I was 18, and there was a girl that used to hang around us. Beautiful girl, red hair, like red fire hydrant red hair, blue eyes, like your typical what you might find in Ireland, for example. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Well, you're Irish, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And what was funny is I always knew something was up, but she was always nice. But she had a habit of making the guys in our, I'll call it gang, because we weren't the best people. I mean, we were decent people. We didn't always do the best things. And each one of them that she was interested in fell for her hard. And she would sleep with them. And then shortly after, she dumped them. Like, I mean, she broke everyone's heart.
Mm.
The only one she could never get was me.
There you go.
So one day we're at a party, at a house party. Back then, believe it or not, I had hair. And I go into it was someone's bedroom and no one was in there. And the door was open. I walk in. I didn't need the light. I mean, there was enough from the hallway. And I went in the mirror. I carried a comb with me. I grew up with Italians, had a nice comb, a little bit of gel. I fixed up my hair and I'm looking in the mirror. And I turn around like she's face to face with me. I didn't even hear her come in. And she looks at me and she says, you know you're the only one I didn't get. I said, yes. And I'm looking deeply in her eyes. And as
Mm.
beautiful as those blue eyes were, realized there's no soul in there. I don't see anything on the inside,
Uh,
nothing. And that's when, and she's like, so she looks at me, she says, ah, so now you know what I am and how I was able to do everything I did. I'm starting to, I'm only 18, right? I'm drinking
yeah.
at the bar. I'm like,
Wow.
so I'm trying to take this in. And then she looks at me, she says, yeah. She said, you don't know who you are yet, but you will. You will. And as great as the things you will do will be, know that at the end of the day, our Father, and by her Father, she meant the forces of evil, the devil, call it what you will be victorious over your Father. And I looked at her, I said, look, I'm not quite sure what's going on. I know I'm different, but whatever's going on, one thing I can assure you, as the creator of all, doesn't lose. So I don't know. So I don't know what you think is going to happen.
Yeah.
So that's what put me on a path to say maybe I should investigate a little bit more. I ended up going to Israel, having a few paths over there. At some point, as you know, I actually became ultra orthodox, had a black hat and a beard. It was important that I go through that path.
Mm.
Um, as I got a little bit older, and I remember telling my wife to be at the time, you know what, the heaviness on my shoulder is to a point where I can't ignore it anymore. I can't. There's something I need to do. There's a mission that I have. I know I'm different. I know that there are things, I can see demons. Sometimes they cross the street and I feel they're evil and they give me an evil look and they run for me. So I understand that there's something going on here and I have to do something.
Mm.
And I remember once there was a very big rabbi who was speaking, and there was a bunch of big rabbis invited to an event and with food and we can drink, and he was speaking about Torah, and very, very well known and very, very holy man. And there was a lot of big rabbis that were at this event, and I was late. You know, Jared has to be Jared. And I walked in, it must have been about a half hour late. So I walk in, everyone's seated. He's speaking at a big table, and everyone's seated and listening to him speak. And you feel the energy. And I walk in, and he stops speaking. And he looks at me. And he says, "You, who are you?" So I mean, I felt embarrassed, like I just interrupted the guy speaking, and I'm late.
Yeah.
I said, Rabbi, I apologize. My name is Tuvia, which is my Hebrew name, which, by the way, is Moses' real name. The name his Hebrew mother gave him was Tuvia, which means goodness of God. And in God's holiest name that we don't pronounce, which has the Hebrew letters Yud, He, Vav, He, Tuvia has Yud, He, Vav. It has three of the exact letters of God's holy name, which is why Moses' mother named him that. And I assure you she knew what she was doing. Now, did my parents know anything about that when they named me Tuvia? No, they named me after the Fiddler on the Roof, Tuvia and Fiddler on the Roof. So, but the point is, it ended up having the same result. So I said again, Rabbi, I apologize. He says, no, no, no. He says, who are you? I said again, Rabbi, I apologize. I hope you're not upset. My name is Tuvia, and I'm well known here, and they'll tell you I'm a bit of a shit disturber. I apologize. He says, no, 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 no. He says, apologize. He says, please, I want you to come and sit next to me. So I said, Rabbi, I said, with all due respect, I know there's a lot of bottles of whiskey on the table. Has everyone been having a good time since I've come? I mean, why would you want me? There's big rabbi sitting from, who am I that I should say? He says, there is a light about you I can't explain.
Oh,
He
wow.
says, I don't know. He says, probably others here cannot see it. You walked in and it's that light that's shining from you.
Mm.
I want that light next to me. To be honest, at the time, I thought maybe he was drunk. Okay. Turns out he wasn't. So I started, now again, it wasn't that because he said there's a light about me. Every human has a light of God about them. But for whatever reason, he could sense that my light was meant to shine at a deeper level than it was.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
I started investigating. There's always deeper metaphors behind what people say,
Yeah.
especially a big Hasidic rabbi. make a long story short, and I mentioned it in my book, I started doing my deeper Kabbalistic meditations, and I get and I start doing research, and I get this name that comes to me. I start researching it, and boom, this guy comes up, and I see he's half French, but he's half native. And by native, I mean Amerindian, First
Yeah.
Nations.
Yeah.
I could figure, you know what? This guy looks like he's been doing this 30 years. He's known in France. He's known in Quebec. He's been known as a healer. He's known as a clairvoyant. And this, I said, you know what? This name comes to mind. I mean, I'm going to call the guy. So I call him up. I don't even tell him my name at this point. I just said, listen, he answers the phone, hello. And I said, listen, I have to tell you something. I have something going on with me. I'm not sure what it is. And he says, hold on, my son. He's already in his 60s at this point. He says, stop. He says, you're the Hebrew I've been waiting for. I said, what the? Did you? I said, I'm the Hebrew you've been waiting for? I said, I didn't even tell you my name. And if I would have told you my name, it would have been Jared. You wouldn't have even known that I'm Jewish, right?
Yeah.
I didn't tell you my name. He says, you don't understand. He said, the angels and Jesus told me that there was going to be a Hebrew that was going to contact me. And my job was to help him understand his mission and how he could unleash what he has within him. And he said, I'm not Hebrew. I'm French and I'm native. I'm a shaman. However, he said, I know my Bible. I know my Old Testament. I've done my studies up above in the realms. I know Jesus was a Jew, and I know Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob were Jews, and Mary and Joseph and the apostles were Jews, and King David and King Solomon were Jews. We'd go down the list. They were all Jews from the Old Testament and the New Testament. He says the Hebrews have a special power, being God's people, that nobody else can have. He said, so you ask me, my son, how is it that I knew that you were the Hebrew they told me would call me? He said, only a Hebrew could have the energy that I feel from you on the phone. So I told him, I says, listen, dude, I says, you're freaking me out a little bit here. I'm a humble guy. Just want to know what the fuck is going on with me.
Yeah.
I mean,
I can imagine. I can imagine.
like it was overwhelming. I'm like, it's like, I feel like, but I'm understanding where this heaviness is coming from, that I have to do something. And I said, look, I'm not going to be like you dude. He says, you're right. You're not going to be like me. He says, I've been doing this over 35 years. He says, but I promise you within 2 years, you're going to already blown away everything that I've done in 35. So I'm like, okay, dude. I'm like, listen, make a long story short, my journey, I spent time with him about 9 months. I went to see him once a month.
Wow.
We spent a lot of time together. And the rest is history. And of course, since then, I've grown. That's where my book 2 comes in, where I kind of describe 7 years after book 1.
Okay.
Where I am now compared to back then, how I've changed and what I've learned.
Of course.
As part of this journey, I'm no longer the same person. I don't necessarily do the same things that I used to do. I don't work in the same way that I used to work. I've grown. I've learned. I've advanced spiritually, mentally, psychologically, physically, emotionally.
Yeah.
And it's been quite a journey, and I realized that there's still more. As part of that journey, as you know, we won't go into the details. The world isn't ready for that conversation yet. But as you know, that as part of this journey, I understood why, being Jewish, I had a spiritual connection to Jesus.
Okay. Yeah.
Because as you know, I knew him when he walked the earth. Right? We won't discuss who or why, but I had a very deep bond with him while he walked the earth in the physical. He himself showed it to me in my mind, which blew me away, and I started doing research until I found things which you can't even find anymore on the web. When I did research, it was the first thing that popped up out of thousands, and now if you look for it, it doesn't even pop up in the first 100 pages. Everything he told me, I found to be true.
That's very impressive. I mean, we could see the development of when you first realized that there was something special about you, and following a very religious path, and then finding yourself finding your own path. I think that Rabbi, what he did was unleash that burden that you had on you to let you free. It's like sometimes what we do is that you were talking about that weight, right? And it was like, I think it had to do with, obligation in this, but there was something else more that you just needed to let go and just go with the flow. And that's what happened. And that shaman told you exactly. He was waiting for you. It's just that, everything had to be aligned and it had to follow that exact path. And where you are today, I mean, look at the first book and the second book, that you could see the transition between Jared, and Jared 2.1. And I think everybody who follows a path like that, like myself, I find myself, I mean, if I could talk to myself 10 years ago, I mean, my God, I'm like the whole different type of person. So yeah, I think it's part of that. I think that's what the beauty of life is that we progress, we learn, we make mistakes like everyone else. But like you said, at the end of the day, what you have to do, and there is a path, and it's not easy. And yeah, and what I love is what you said. Well, yeah, your father might be, your creator might be that, but mine is always going to win. And that the end result is always good, is going to prevail all the time.
100%. And something you just said reminds me, not the last day, because I'd seen him a few times after. I haven't
Yeah.
spoken to him now in about 10 years, this gentleman. I'm not sure if he's still around, to be quite honest with you. What he said to me on the last, if you want to call it, official appointment together, I told him, he says, "You're ready now." And what it comes down to, by the way, is why this never happened before was because I wasn't ready to take on that responsibility. And he says, "You are now ready." And he prepared me. As you know, I suffer stigmata, which is the marks and the pain of the crucifixion of Jesus. It's another connection that I have to him. And he warned me. He says, "You're going to suffer stigmata. You're gonna suffer. There's a lot of sacrifice that you're going to make behind the scenes that people won't even comprehend that you do to be able to do this work on God's behalf. There's always sacrifice."
Yeah.
And he said, "You're ready." And I looked at him and I said, "How come I don't? I mean, I know we've done things together. You've seen me do things. Why do I not feel different? Why do I not feel that surge of energy?" And he looked at me, he said, "Because you haven't accepted it yet." He said, "You're so humble that in your mind, you still keep telling yourself, why me?" And he was right. Every day I was like, why me? Like, who the heck am I? Like, why? And then he reminded me of something, because he was a Christian.
Yeah.
I mean, he had Hebrew things all over the place. He learned Torah and all kinds of stuff, but he was born a Christian on his mother's side. Of course, his father was native shaman, and he told me, he said, when the apostles asked Jesus, Rabbi, why did you choose us?" So Jesus' answer was, "Just trust that my Father and I know what we're doing."
In
Yes,
other
you're
words,
sinners.
don't worry about it.
Or, yes, you're sinners. And we all
Yeah.
know most of the apostles, some of them were thieves. Some of them, they were all sinners at one point,
Yeah.
heavy. And
Yeah.
he says, "Trust the Father and I know what we're doing." And he reminded me of that. And I said, surely if God created the heavens and the earth, surely he knows who to choose to do whatever mission he needs them to do on earth. And he said, the minute that you accept in your mind that you can do it and that you're meant to do it, you will. And I'll tell you, that night I went home, I meditated on it, and I said, "God, if this be your will, then indeed I'm ready." And the next day I woke up, and I'll tell you, it was like boom. Okay, I accepted it. I've now become the vessel that I needed to be to do this work. And if you notice, and you've seen in my videos, and you saw especially with the exorcism that you were at, there's often a preparation that I go through. And as part of that preparation, one of the first things that I do is I pray to God and I ask him to please give me the strength to be the proper tool that I'm meant to be to do his work now. God, please let me be worthy enough to be used properly to do your work. And that's part of the preparation.
And that right there is accepting and consentment that you become the biggest badass to kick some demon butt. And that, my friend, is something I've seen with my own eyes, Jared. And I'm going to tell you, it was a very amazing thing to see and feel. But I know as a fact that your journey, it's weird to say this, but this is what I feel. I feel like your journey has just begun, because you went through a difficult time. We'll go down different interviews for sure. This is just the first preliminary, like, hey, this is Jared, but I know that your path, because we have different paths, but I know it has just begun because you said something that you never said before. And on all the interviews that we've done together in French, the first time you have said publicly that you have changed, that you've learned more than what you like, you know what I mean? You're transitioning again, you're learning more. And I could see the person I first met a few years ago to today. So right there, he's preparing you for another path, another maybe another task or something. But for sure, man, and it's all good, because God works in mysterious ways, and and I could see it. But look at your book, look at the contrast between before and now. So I see it. You're just starting another path, but even more. And I feel nothing but good out of it. I don't know what you
Amen.
think. What do you think?
I was, well, from your mouth to God's metaphoric ears, and that's another conversation. I know in Christianity as compared to Judaism and Islam,
Yeah.
Christians obviously have a belief that God can be in human form, right? Whereas in Judaism and Islam, I mean the Old Testament, the Torah, which is the book that Jesus himself preached with, because there was no New Testament till 300-400 years after his death, is very, very clear, where God himself says in the Torah, "You will never see me in human form, because I'm above that. I'm above everything. I'm above even the heavens. I will limit myself, so I will manifest in different ways."
Yeah.
And he does, whether it's in nature, whether it's in spirit, etc., etc. But he'll never appear as like, "Hey,
Yeah.
here I am." But that's another conversation, right? At the end of the day, I think what people need to take from this, I don't want to say it's a warning. I did do a video on Facebook. I think you saw it, where I'm kind of talking about everything going on in the world and how no one says a peep, right? And only when it comes to my people scream. But if none of us are involved, anything can go. Everything's okay.
Yeah.
We are in the next phase of a battle.
Yeah.
And that battle is increasing. And I can promise you, and I follow a very, very big Kabbalist, where he himself has been stating now a couple of years that metaphoric storm is coming.
Yeah. I believe you.
That storm is coming. And people better wake up, and wake up fast, because the time for repentance, where as humanity we had an opportunity to bring the Messiah in peace, and this big Kabbalist in his writings, and many others have already said what I'm about to say, so we're all echoing each other. Not that I'm comparing myself to them, but we've said similar things. It's too late. It's too late. We have not done as what we've supposed to have done.
Okay.
Therefore, the Messiah will come in war and destruction, and it's coming. Does that mean it's too late for people to repent? Absolutely not. Time is of the essence. Time is running out, and Jesus himself said, "The Messiah will come like a thief in the night." Meaning, and I think I said that in my video, meaning the way a thief will rob you while you sleep and you wake up and your possessions are gone, one day humanity will wake up and the Messiah will be standing there, And then it will be too late to say, oh, well, let me repent now. It's got to be before the Messiah comes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, that's how it works. I mean, obviously, everyone's going to repent when he's standing there and he's staring at you. Everyone's going to be like, "Oh, please, let me." Right, and it doesn't mean that humanity can't. God is forgiving. It will just never be at the same level as if you repent before it's in your face, right?
Mhm.
So I think as humanity, we need to be ready, and as you said, and that's why I said from your mouth to God's metaphoric ears, because He doesn't actually have ears. Um, God willing, there are more paths for me to go,
Mhm.
all of them good. As long as for me, my goal, I have a family to support. As you know, I have 5 kids,
Yeah.
but what I want, what I would like, and what God provides is very often what we need, not necessarily what we want. And even then, sometimes we have to go through periods where He won't give us what we need because we need to go through that.
Yeah.
But what I would certainly like is any path that God puts me on, puts me in a position where I can continue helping people,
Yeah.
where I can make a difference for people, whether it's physically, spiritually, emotionally, psychologically. And I enjoy, as much as it takes a toll, I enjoy fighting evil. I enjoy doing exorcisms. You've seen, aside from the one that you were at, you've seen many videos where they taunt me, I taunt them back. And believe me, as you've seen, I give it back better than they can give it to me. And I take, I don't want to say pride, and sometimes I do ask God to forgive me after an exorcism because I enjoy it so much, destroying evil. I truly enjoy seeing evil be vanquished.
Mm.
I enjoy seeing human beings be liberated
Yeah.
from a darkness that has taken over them without their consent. And yes, I do enjoy it very much. So hopefully, I will always be in a position where whatever I'm doing will, let's simplify it and say, will shine a light into their darkness and disturb the darkness because of how bright that light is.
That's right. Yeah. Become the beacon and yeah. Yeah. I Jared, listen, where can people follow you again? Just let people know how they can communicate with you. Tell the people your
So
your things are.
my website, first of all, is jaredheavensmessenger.com.
Mhm.
It's a decent website. I mean, I haven't really updated in a while, but you have everything that you need there, and there is a form to fill out where you can contact me.
Okay.
You can find me on Jared Heavens Messenger on Facebook. I'm also under Jared Exorcist on Facebook. I also have another account, Jared Neal, on Facebook. This goes back to the times of the pandemic where I had to create a new account every week because they kept shutting it down every time I told people what was coming before it actually happened. And as you know, before most people even knew that there was the C word, in China and whatnot, I was warning people well beforehand that they had something planned and what was coming and what they were going to do step by step. So,
Yeah.
needless to say, every week they were shutting down my accounts and taking down my videos, even on YouTube, and I had to always create new accounts. The only thing that I ask people, and some people don't like it, and some of them probably take it the wrong way, I have people contact, if you want to contact me and hey messenger on messenger on one of my Facebook accounts, I have no issue with it, just saying, hey, I might need something. And if maybe I'll have an opportunity, maybe I'll have the time, even though I'm crazy busy, to say, sure, let's chat 2 minutes, or otherwise I'll just send you to my website. Sometimes there are people who will just start leaving me voice messages telling me their whole story. I won't even listen to it. And I'll just
Okay.
tell them, with all due respect, I that's why I offer consultations. I don't have 45 minutes
No,
to
it's
listen.
hard. It's hard because I know you get a lot of messages and a lot of people saying, "I got to talk to him. I got to talk to him." I said, "Well, just
And
send the message and then he'll get back to you."
and 100%. And I wish
Yeah.
I had the time and the energy. But the same thing also goes is I'm a nice guy and I've helped a lot of people in my life who couldn't afford my services
Yeah.
because my goal is to help people. But again, groceries are not going to buy themselves.
No, I understand.
Mortgage is not going to get paid by himself. But compared to others, I'm dirt cheap. I provide an incredible service, and I give 100% my full heart and soul into trying to help people. But there's a lot of people willingly and many unwillingly who obviously want to take advantage of my generousness, and a lot of them figure, hey, hey, Jared, when you have a chance, can you call me so we can chat on the phone? No, that's not going to happen.
No, I know. I
No,
know.
I got to pay my bills. So if I'm chatting to 10 people on the phone so you can tell me your life story, I just didn't buy food for my kids this week. So that I try to find a balance.
No, I understand. Yeah, I know you provide a good service, but it's also people have to understand too that you have a personal life and it's not easy. But ladies and gentlemen, you can buy his book, obviously, Jared here, Heaven's Messenger on Amazon, and his other book, Rise of the Slayer. And I highly recommend you communicate with Jared. He is the package deal, and I'll be honest with you, a lot of people told me that a lot of good came out of his. I know I'm talking to you in the third person here, but I'm just saying to those who are watching that you do an extremely good work, and that you're very humble, and I'm telling you, listen, I've never met anybody as badass when it comes to kicking the ass of demons, and listen, I was there, I saw it with my own eyes. So and the fact is, you're not alone. You got people behind you supporting you. You got a great wife, kids that are amazing. So you got a lot of love behind you, and you're a family man. And that for me is a key, is that you're very humble, and you're one of God's servants. So I'm very happy to have done this interview with you, and I hope people can make a connection with you. So Jared, if there's anything in conclusion, I'm going to obviously end this live, but is there anything that you would like to say?
Sure, just a couple of things very briefly. I just want to throw in, because I'm sure he'll see that, is, as you know, because you were there. Sometimes when I know an exorcism is going to be extra crazy, I invite Peter to come and help me out. He's kind of like my
Your
I don't want to
sidekick.
say he's like my brother. He's like my brother, but I don't want to say sidekick. But just to say that he's always there when I need him. He has a life and he has kids,
Yeah, yeah.
and he has a business that he needs to run. But it doesn't matter if I tell him, Peter, I need you. We have to save someone. He will be there, and he's, as you see, he's extremely badass as well, and he enjoys destroying demons as well. So God bless him. He's like a brother, and
Mm-hmm.
in all credit to him, when people are paying me for my services, and he helps me to this day. If even if I stuff money in his spot, he will take it out, and he will put it, like, he won't even take a penny to help me. The other thing is, who's behind me, aside from obviously my family and my friends. As we say in Hebrew, Hashem HaKadosh Baruch Hu Melech Ala Melech Yisrael, God Almighty is the force and the power that propels me to do what I need to do. And as we've all seen the movie, obviously the Ten Commandments is very Hollywood. If someone who studies the Torah in original Hebrew and understands, it didn't happen exactly the way they tell us in the movie Ten Commandments. However, there's a scene that's very interesting where Pharaoh, instead of killing Moses, he sends him in the desert, right? And Moses ends up finding his wife among the Bedouins. And at one point, he's run out of food. It's several days. He's in the hot desert. There's a desert storm. It's smashing on his face. He has no food. He has no water, and he has no energy to continue.
Yeah.
And the narrator in the movie says, and he continued with a force from where he knew not whence it came. So there are times when I feel like I can't,
Yeah.
and I get that force from God says, yes, I'm with you. You can. And I will end it on this note. We live in times, very, very difficult times, where everything's backwards. Sadly, I would say a majority of humanity don't even understand that we're living in backwards time, where
Yeah.
day is night and right is wrong. But we are, and it can be very heavy. And there's a lot of people who tell me, I feel it, Jared. I feel like I can't go on. We're losing. I feel all hope is lost. Wrong.
Yeah.
Where does that light come from? Will the final destruction that has to come before the Messianic era be stopped? No. But it doesn't mean that we can't have hope, because God has told us,
Mhm.
for Christians, Jesus repeated the message the Father said, that prepare yourselves for the world to come, because that is the true world and the true riches. And as long as you have faith in the Father, you have a place in that world. And as the Lubavitcher Rebbe, Menachem Mendel Schneerson, said, a very, very holy man, people used to go see him from all over the world, including prime ministers and presidents, and every U.S. sitting president while he was alive went to see him for advice. He always said, the smallest candle in an auditorium filled with darkness, doesn't matter where you are in that auditorium, you can see that light of the candle.
Yeah,
So
my God, yeah.
what we need to be is, if we are that candle, if we are that small light, then that is our hope and that is our faith, and that will give us the power to withstand and be ready for whatever trials and tribulations are coming our way. So please, everyone, have faith in God. Be open to connecting to God, God's consciousness, the Creator, to everything that is around us, and have faith, have hope. Don't give up. Don't give up, because God has not given up on us, even though most of us have given up on Him.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Amen. That's really good, brother. Thank you so much, Jared. It was a pleasure. I know we're going to do definitely a few more interviews after this. I mean, this is just the beginning. But again, God bless. Thank you so much, brother. And continue the good work, man.
Amen. Thank you very much. It's always a pleasure and an honor to speak with you. And let me thank everyone who took the time to watch and to listen to this, because time is money, but time is also energy.
Yeah.
And whether they believe or not, the fact that they've taken their energy to sit and to listen and to watch, thank you.
Awesome. Jared, I'll put you in the back store and I'll finish this live. Okay. Hold
Awesome,
on.
brother.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was Jared Neal. Wow, what a great interview. It was awesome. I had a great time. Look, I'll be honest with you. I'm going to have all the links at the bottom. And I would appreciate if you could check out his website, learn more about him. And if you want to contact him, you can contact him through the way he was explaining. There's a form to fill out, and there you go. And I think he would be more than happy to communicate with you. But there's one thing I have to say to those who are doubtful. And that's okay, because we do live in a world where people believe differently. And this is what I've said on my page, many accounts, is that what is said today may not vibrate with your beliefs and or some certain things. But I say to everyone, we have the ability to learn and to assess ourselves. And for sure, I mean, there'll be content on this page that will be okay with you. Sometimes you won't be okay with you. Some things you will believe, some things you won't believe. But the objective for me is to explore all the avenues in the unknown. And Jared brings such a great aspect on the forces in which surround us and the temptation. And obviously the world is changing, and I've been saying this for a long time. We are in a spiritual battle. We live in a world that may be physical, but yet spiritual too as well. And there is a confliction in humanity, and we do need to evolve. And for sure, I mean, for those who do believe in God, which I do believe there is a consciousness. There is a divinity. There's a source, obviously. I mean, obviously, when we look at God, I mean, people have different perspectives, but yet there is what we call the big cheese in the sky, as we can say metaphorically, that helps us and loves us and wants for us to evolve and become better than what we are. And I think that is what part of humanity is that we learn and we progress and we find our path, and sometimes paths change and we change as well. And that's what's the beauty is, because you could take the perfect sinner and make him turn into the perfect pure person. And we can see that people who have been the worst what this planet is and become the best. So that is what we try to do, is to make ourselves better. But like I said, ladies and gentlemen, the unknown is what me and many others that will be on this page will do, is discover the unknown, because the human condition is the unknown, and that's why I love it. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and obviously share. Yes, sharing is caring. But never forget, I always say this at every live, without you, I'm just talking to myself. See you later, everyone. Thanks a lot. Take care.